Welcome to Insights for Manufacturing, the podcast that supports the UK manufacturing sector. Hosted by Jeff Beecham, the manufacturer's recruiter. Welcome to Insights for Manufacturing. Here we are on another episode of the podcast. And today we're talking about plant and equipment. We're talking about precision engineering, press work, and machinery. And I'm joined with my special guest today, Adrian Haller, who is the chairman of the Metalforming Machinery Makers Association, or MMMA, and also the managing director of Bruderer UK. So welcome to the show, Adrian.
Thank you very much, Jeff. How are you?
I'm very good. Yes, we've got to a Friday. I always enjoy doing these podcasts anyway. So it's I'm feeling pretty good. So again, thanks for coming on the show. Been wanting to do this this sort of discussion with you for a while now. So first of all, regarding the trade association, can you tell us a little bit about the MMMA and what its sort of purpose and aims are, and what your role is within the organisation?
Okay, so I am the chairman of the MMMA, and we are basically metal machine makers in industries such as forming, stamping, folding, welding, and what have you, for the manufacturers. So we supply all these machines to manufacturers for all around the UK, helping them find out new technologies and infrastructures that they can actually be more competitive in the worldwide market. We're 60 companies strong at the moment, and we meet every quarter, where we would discuss state of trade, what's happening. And one of the biggest key points for our organisation is that we also represent ourselves at the MAC exhibition, where we can actually show manufacturers, customers from all the way around the world, indeed, what we do as part of the MMMA and also for manufacturing in general.
Yeah. I think we met at MAC, I think, at the last one, and you had like a separate sort of section, didn't you, for your members, and it was a sort of technology or machinery area specific to metal forming, wasn't it?
Yeah, we like to call that the metalworking village, part of the MAC exhibition, where anything to do with metal in general is in that area. So it focuses customers to a direction where they need to come within the MAC exhibition to talk about presses, to talk about metal folding, talk about laser cutting, folding, press brakes, and such things like that. Yeah. So therefore, it's all in one area and focus, because there's nothing worse than going to an exhibition where you're not directed to an area that you need to find what you need to look at.
Yeah, absolutely. Great idea to have it all in the same place. I know from my own experience, traipsing around exhibition halls, it wears you out. And if you haven't sort of sorted out your itinerary before you go, you can tend to end up not meeting half the people that you wanted to and missing out on some real gems. So that's good. That's good.
100%.
So what does your role actually encompass then? I mean, do you get involved in sort of lobbying, or is it more on the sort of member side in technology and talking to the members and the industry, as opposed to the sort of government and legislation side? How do you describe your sort of day-to-day role in the MMMA?
So I think it's all of the above, more or less, of what you've just prescribed there. I mean, firstly, it's getting the people together, like-minded people, talking to them, airing subjects that may be causing them issues within their own companies, and then talking about manufacturing in general. How can we lobby to make people listen to what's going on in manufacturing from the machine tool side of the industry?
Yeah, I'm
also on several other boards of organizations, so therefore from that point of view I can bring things to the table that may be interesting to our members, and that then just builds a camaraderie, if you like, of good feeling above the group, and so therefore they can talk about issues that they've got, such as lack of skills, such as problems within engineering, and if anybody can find anything out about whatever, it can be discussed at those meetings. So we bring that to the table. We'd also help from financial points of view, how to get money to big projects and what have you, how HR stuff, how to look at technical projects, which, you know, probably it's new to them. And is there anybody within the group or the people around the table that can add value, if you like?
Yeah.
And that's where the MMMA really does come into its own, because those conversations are aired openly, and it's not minuted, it's not recorded, and it's good, like I say, a good camaraderie effect within the people that are around the table at that time.
So it's a safe space where people can, as you say, talk openly. I guess you get that cross-fertilization of ideas and support. Sounds amazing. So what's in the first place, Adrian, what inspired you to pursue a career in manufacturing?
I suppose that's got to have started really from when I was a small boy, and my father gave me a battery and a bulb, an electric motor. And I used to play around with that and put it into Lego cars and what have you. And then,
brilliant.
Obviously, when I went through school, I was doing what was that CDT engineering thing, metalworking, woodworking. So I found that I could do things with my hands that really helped me. And then also I could apply it to different things around my life.
Yeah.
And so it came to the point when obviously you left school, where'd you go then? And I started a tool making apprenticeship with a company, worked through that, went through production, went through project engineering. And then obviously I was within a manufacturing sector. So not really that I went to manufacturing, I fell into it, if you know what I mean.
Yep.
My love of cars, motorbikes, or basically anything with a mechanical engine or what have you, has pushed me forward into that. And so then it went into sales, technical engineering sales, and where that I saw lots of different levels of manufacturing in all different types of technologies and sectors.
Yeah.
And then I've just grown from there and understood really the wealth and the I suppose the respect for anything within this world that comes from manufacturing and engineering.
Yeah.
And without it, you know, it would be a very sad world if even if we was around, because of no manufacturing. So that's how I got into manufacturing and engineering, and I'm still here now.
What a journey. And I suppose, you know, we're always talking about how to get youngsters into manufacturing these days, you know, to help get the next generation in and plug the skills gaps. But you're a case in point of somebody who's grown up with it. You've started at grassroots level, you know, being a tool maker, and then ended up, you know, running, you know, part of one of the most successful machine businesses in the world, High Precision, and also, you know, chairing a trade association. I mean, you and I spoke again at the Meet the Toolmaker event, didn't we, in Telford a week or so ago? So when you look back at your career, this is the journey that I think we need to get the youngsters to sort of have a look into that crystal ball and use somebody like you and other people as an example of, well, you can start here.
Yeah.
And it's not just, you don't just have to work on the shop floor in a factory. Going into manufacturing or engineering can take you on so many different paths, can't it?
100%. Well, as you saw at Meet the Toolmaker, I mean, that was done in the Incom facility.
Yeah.
And you saw all the young apprentices there, and obviously you met my lad.
Yes, Max. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, you know, the turning point for him, you know, he'd gone to school, done his education and what have you. Should he go into sixth form? Should he go to university? And the more I looked at it, I'm thinking, well, no, I advocate for apprenticeships. I think it's the right route to take. Industry, the country, the world need engineers, manufacturers to make things. So I'm thinking, what better way to put him through an apprenticeship and follow the roads I've gone.
Yep.
Now, my thoughts behind that is getting I mean, him again is interested in tractors, cars, airplanes, and through the years we've rebuilt stuff together. And so, you know, what better way for him to align all his experiences with me in the garage and winters, nights, and what have you, to actually achieving something for a career.
Yeah. And
on the top of it is also earning to learn and learning to earn. And that then they see the attachment.
Yeah.
And he is, you know, he's doing well at Income and what have you. And so once he's got a bit of money to do what he wants to do, he can then see the link. Yeah. And you know, we talk about Aston Martins, Rolls Royce and stuff like that. And I says, all these things that you're doing now, very, very basic things, will lead you into loads of different avenues in life. And it says it's a basis for your career.
Yeah.
You may want to go off and do real estate, or you may want to go and pilot an aeroplane. But at the end of the day, you've been trained as a highly efficient engineer for doing engineering things. So if whatever you think you want to do in the future and it doesn't work, you've always got those key skills to come back to. And that's something that I'd like to put across to any young person. The future is in what you learn now, which will bed you for the rest of your life.
Absolutely. That's wonderful. And the word that sort of sticks out to me there in what you were saying was alignment. And I think it's that if we can get the youngsters thinking of that journey, what the potential might be, and then they can start joining up the dots between what they're interested in now, what the opportunities might be in the future, then they've sort of got a bit of a way forward rather than just bumbling through life from one month, 1 year to the next, like a lot of people do. And I'd spent my part of my early career doing that for a while. So yeah, great example there. So in terms of modern manufacturing, in particular metal forming, what sort of trends are you seeing at the moment? You know, good, bad, opportunities, technology. What's hot off the press? What are people talking about outside of, you know, COVID, Brexit, energy prices, in terms of the opportunities and technology? Where's it at the moment as far as you're concerned?
Well, those are fantastic points, and a lot of those points you've just brought out, especially the last points, is the negativity of what's going on around in the world.
Yeah.
But the point that I always look at around the fraternity of manufacturing and whatever I'm doing in a day-to-day life is what's the positives of that. So when you have such things as energy problems, such things as wars and such things that all changes the infrastructure and the way that we look at things.
Yeah.
COVID, for instance, you know, since COVID, I feel that the UK has gone from strength to strength. One of the key points is the fact that we realise, we don't make that in the UK now more. It's made in Japan or China or India.
Yeah.
We really needed that stuff there and then. And so it's pushed engineering manufacturing companies to make sure they are manufacturing stuff in-house. The push for clean energy, net zero and all this lot. We cannot no longer keep flying things across the world because that is massively polluting the world.
Yeah.
So why aren't you making it in the UK for the UK people? I mean, there's lots of things that I'd want to say. For instance, like, why is all our police cars Volvos and BMWs? Why aren't they Jaguars?
Absolutely.
You know? And the fact of the matter is, Jaguar is not a British company per se, in the fact that it's owned by Tata, but it's employing a lot of British engineers and manufacturers and what have you, and giving infrastructure for the whole of the UK. So my question is, why aren't we using all JLR cars or Nissans that are made up in Sunderland? You know, why aren't we doing it? And the fact of the matter is that brings us down to how I see the market changing. And it is exactly that. JLR have said we need people on the doorstep manufacturing stuff, so just in time actually works. It can't work the other side of the world. So I think from that point of view, we've seen a lot of inward investment within the UK, which has helped. And also international investment from, you know, the likes of America and even China and what have you, where they're investing in the UK for lots of different stuff, such as EV vehicles and what have you, which is a massive push for metal forming. And the way that we construct stuff and then actually doing it on site rather than shipping big metal boxes across the sea. Yeah. So it's changed the actual scope and I think the foresight of manufacturers today in the UK, and in turn that has helped build structure. Yeah. On top of that, we've just had that excellent news about $4.5 billion investment into manufacturing. I mean,
about time.
Absolutely. But you look in your lifetime, you're the similar age to me. I have never, ever heard of this in manufacturing. And you have certain comments made, oh, this is just to get votes. It's nothing to do with votes. Who as the general public, cares about manufacturing or knows about manufacturing? The government, I believe, are waking up to the fact that, you know, without making stuff, you've got no wealth. That's how it started. And so therefore they think, hang on a minute, if we can build manufacturing up, we'll build jobs, we'll build infrastructure, we'll build wealth. Yeah, fair play. So that was an absolute welcome.
Yeah.
And fair play to the government for doing that.
Yeah, it seems like there's, it's early days, of course, but it seems like there's a bit of a black cloud has been not necessarily taken away, but it's been shifted away a little bit in terms of that great news from the government. And so many people, I mean, Make UK have been instrumental in in talking to the government about this for ages. I know that, and there's a lot of people, yourself included, that have been, really banging the drum to support manufacturing. We need to do a bit more reshoring. We need investment. The UK government just needs to make it a little bit easier for manufacturing businesses to survive, let alone be successful and grow. So they've got to be fighting for us on all fronts, haven't they? So it really is a shot in the arm, and really, really good to hear. So on the flip side then, and I think we probably will see, even more momentum building now. I think hopefully the sluice gates have been opened, and who knows what else is going to come down the track as well. But in terms of some of the challenges, we've spoken about Brexit, COVID, the war, all these sort of things, supply chain disruption. In terms of a modern metal forming business, whether that's an end user of your members' machines, or whether it's a machine builder supplier, what is it taking at the moment to maintain a healthy business? Because manufacturing has seen ups and downs. It's been in a bit of a sort of quagmire recently. Is there any sort of special source? I know Bruderer are absolutely flying, world leaders, amazing brand, amazing technology, but businesses in general in metal forming, what is the formula, or what do businesses need to do to be able to survive, grow, innovate? What are you sort of hearing from other businesses? You will have your own experiences from Bruderer, but yeah, have you got anything to share, across the wider sort of arena there on that?
So we've hit on it very slightly on what we're trying to do, and the biggest problem for our sector, manufacturing in general, is skill gap.
Yeah.
Probably I was one of the last indentured apprenticeships of my age, and so therefore there was a massive hole of it. And so therefore from that middle skill area, it is very shallow. We are making inroads. We are trying to make UK income and the IoT, Dudley, and there's loads of them all over the country who are really pushing forward to make sure, A, we engage with the youth, and B, we try and get them within the engineering manufacturing sector.
Yeah.
The short term is the struggle to have those skills and transfer those skills, because we've got a lot of old machines in the UK, and we just keep making them work. But the problem that we've actually got going forward is, how do we transfer the knowledge that was been learnt over those years that really can't be trained? Yes, you learn your basics in tooling and in colleges and what have you, but you actually really learn when you put with an experienced lady or man. And that is what we need to push hard on. So that is the first issue that we've got for generations. You may have also heard that we're the third technology manufacturer in the world, America and China being the top ones, and we're the third. And for a little old island, that's not too bad. And so that means that we are going into different areas that normal people probably won't realize what we're doing, but we're at the forefront of technology. So any innovations, any things that are starting up or what have you, the British engineer will be involved in. So that's a positive, and it will start here, and then it'll be rolled out around the world. So new ways of manufacturing components on our machines, or indeed on any of them, are coming out quite a lot. And again, at the MAC exhibition, all of our members from the MMMA, and indeed the whole MAC exhibition from the 5-axis machine tools and what have you, they will be showcasing the latest technologies in the world. And so from an international point of view, we can actually show the world what the UK, from a manufacturing and international backing, can do.
Yeah.
So as long as we keep pushing the envelope of technologies and innovations, new energies, I think, we have got everything to go for, which is a positive alignment.
Yeah, great to hear. And what about, specific opportunities for growth and innovation? Is there anything that's sort of in the pipeline at the moment that you know of? I mean, there are things, outside of metal forming. We've got things like sort of additive manufacturing, AI's, being rolled out here, there, and everywhere. But in terms of metal forming itself, is there something that's really groundbreaking about to hit, or anything going on behind the scenes, or any of the sort of latest machines or processes that would make a sort of standout example of how things have moved forward?
So, obviously, being in the professional area that I'm in, the movement forward is in the progression press tooling. Right. The latest technologies and the ways that of manufacturing and actually making tool steels last longer, and the degrees of technical ability within a progression press tool now is mind blowing. Yeah. To the point where we're doing milling, laser welding, tapping, which we've always been able to run the speeds that we can do it at.
Yeah.
Those kind of things are actually fantastic. And the laser weldings, where we can actually make complete components on a press tool with a finished part coming off, ready to go into a machine. Your 3D printing stuff, your additive manufacturing is absolutely fantastic, where we can cut costs on making vehicles, or indeed any kind of component, because we can actually do it there and then, whereas before you'd have had to make loads of jigs and fixtures and bent a bit and done a bit. Now we can actually see this happening. The onset of technology within computer-aided designs is absolutely mind-blowing. To the fact where you can look at something, make a model of it, scan it, and then manufacture it. Yeah. So the innovations, and again, I can't emphasize enough, all of this will be at the MAC exhibition, where you'll be able to see these latest innovations of engineering and manufacturing. And again, that all comes with investment, and investment is what the UK's need. And I'll go back to our 4.5 billion from the UK government. It's going to help with all that. And we need that to be able to say, yes, we're at the forefront of manufacturing for the world. And also that will make us all a good advertisement to all companies around the world that we should put work with the UK and that kind of thing.
Yeah, so, absolutely.
Again, very positive thoughts. And as long as we can keep pushing through and keep the big wheel rolling, I'm sure we'll get to where we need to get.
Absolutely. Yes. And I totally agree. Everybody's got to remain positive. I think it's not all a bed of roses. We all know that. But I think if you start off thinking negatively, well, you're probably, rushing towards a negative outcome. So, okay. And just on Mac, when is that? Is it April again at the NEC?
It's mid-April, yes.
April.
We're looking forward to that again. I think we've sold out definitely for the metalworking village, record numbers again. And I understand from the MAC exhibition that they're also pushing forward with great numbers. Brilliant. Again, all very positive comments and interest coming not only from the UK but from around the world to showcase their wares.
Yeah. Well, I went. I think it was last year, wasn't it? Last day, 2022. It was the first time I'd been. I thought it was absolutely amazing. So I will 100% be there. I always find it. I'm just in awe of the technology. It's a great event. So look forward to hearing more about that on the the sort of preceding months, really. Okay, so Adrian, given your role at Bruderer UK, can you provide any insights into how the sort of global factors and international markets are influencing the UK's manufacturing landscape? A lot of people outside of manufacturing they just think of the pandemic and the wars that are going on. But what else is sort of impacting UK manufacturing or creating opportunity?
Yeah, without doubt is the small thing about electric vehicles.
Yes.
That has definitely, I would say, yeah, it's definitely focused the Bruderer group because with electric vehicles, you're running higher voltages. That means bigger connectors. This means bigger presses that's forming the parts and what have you.
Yeah.
The battery components are all made out of pressings. There's lots of metal in there. And so therefore, the laminations within the motors and what have you is bringing on lots of metal work within the industry. So from that point of view, it's affecting the world. And then you move on to the other innovations, hydrogen, the ammonia cars and what have you, again, all using a lot of metal manufacturing.
Yeah.
And you've got to also understand by when you're actually stamping stuff with metal, it's all recyclable.
Yes.
And so anything that you make out of metal, we all know it feels better, it looks better, it has a better quality to it, it's better precision. And so therefore, at the end of it, once it's done its life, it can be recycled, what's not to like.
Yeah.
So there's lots of new technologies coming from that sector. When we talk about net zero energy and other ways of getting power to our homes, heating and what have you, such as solar panels, again, using wiring, using connectors, heat pumps, use lots of pressings, metal forming again.
Yep.
So all these new energies and changes because of negativity, the negativity be energy costs going up. How do we stop the negative energy costs? So we turn around to manufacturing and we say, manufacturing, how can we do this? How can we make things better?
Yeah.
And that's where we get involved, and that's where engineering gets involved. New ways of developing stuff that every single one of us needs every single day.
Yeah. Any other? I mean, I'm just going to say that it's an interesting point, and I suppose one that's very divisive. The whole, is EV going to be the savior? And I know there's a lot of chit chat on all of the social platforms about, are electric vehicles going to be the thing? Is it going to be hydrogen? I think a lot of people on the EV side are poo-pooing the hydrogen. Now you've got Toyota have come out, I think, in the last month with this new, what was that new new engine technology? It was around water or something. So who knows? It'd be interesting to look in a crystal ball, 10 years down the line and see what that percentage might look like of, what are all the cars going to be run by, these different propulsion systems. But
I think, I mean, you have lots of different areas or camps, if you like, but the fact of the matter, we are trying to think and do something about it and not sitting on our thumb and doing nothing. Electric cars, the torque, the speed, and what have you is fantastic. The batteries, there is a question over that, but with time we will no doubt get better and get more innovative and do things. Hydrogen, I like the hydrogen factors. I like the fact that you can use hydrogen to convert original petrol cars, diesel cars.
Yeah,
that's what's been stated, and anything that can do that, because what we really don't want to be doing is scrapping vehicles which are still good. And then we are creating a bigger environmental problem. And so we're all looking for the future to make things better for us. And again, with engineering, innovation, manufacturing, these are the things that we're focused on to make better. And collectively, all the great minds together, there will be a solution.
Yeah.
Personally, I'm a petrol head. So I don't want to lose the V8s and V12s, but things need to change. And like I said at the start of this meeting, change is good, and change makes you rethink about the future for all of us.
Yeah,
and so absolutely. I'm up for everything that comes across our path.
Yeah. So what sort of initiatives or strategies do you think are going to be effective in addressing this skills gap? Just going back to that, it's a huge issue, also a great opportunity for us to get manufacturing back on the world stage properly. But how do you think we need to go about this? I mean, it's a huge and complex topic, isn't it? What are your sort of thoughts? If you could be Prime Minister for probably a little bit more than a day, you might need a year or so to get proper strategies rolled out. But if you had the power to do whatever it is that's needed to fix things, how would you go about strategizing the the skills gap issue?
So you really need engineering manufacturing to be made sexy. You need our friends, the YouTubers of the world, you need to engage the youth, and how there's an alignment with the youth for what we're doing now. As you know, we're quite big on LinkedIn, social media yourself, and doing exactly what you're doing now. You're engaging with people within the industry, so you get the word across. Unfortunately, our media, whoever it may be, just want to talk about the doom and gloom and the negative sides of things. So that really doesn't coerce a future for our youth, and they're wondering what's going on. But if you can actually prove that there's an interest there, and if you align it with supercars, if you align it with wealth, if you align it with real estate or anything like that, where all these big money people are, and they can see there's a road to having a good living. In life, you've got to work, you've got to walk before you can run. As long as you understand that, you will make a good engineer. And from that, you need to be pushing out videos. You need to engage with people at the top of their game so that they bring people on board, such as, as you know, at the MMMA dinner, gala dinner, we had Pete Waterman there.
Yes.
Now, you listen to what Pete Waterman was saying, and it was very focused, and he was on the money. Now, this guy's been in music, he's done lots of things in his life, but his passion for engineering, and he had that program on TV, and he said that the model trains is worth £20 million to the UK. Wow.
Yeah.
And you start thinking about wealth and building growth, not that that's for like anything bigger than what it is, but you start thinking there's a bigger picture out there.
Yeah.
And that then getting all them people together to put on shows, to show model trains of towns, it's engineering, it's manufacturing.
Yeah.
And that then builds an interest within the youth. Once you've got the youth on board, they will build themselves, and they've got to see an avenue to where they need to get to be good at what they want to try and do.
Yeah. I've heard the sort of younger generation these days are acutely strongly advocating for environmental issues. The current generation are I think a lot more mindful of what we're doing to the planet, but also mindful of how to hopefully live a better life. So, when I think of things like the medical sector, medical devices, pharmaceuticals, without manufacturing, people wouldn't be able to have operations. They wouldn't be able to have all sorts of, prosthetic limbs, bolts and pins put in their legs, stents in their heart. I mean, it's mind-boggling to think what sort of a mess we'd be in without manufacturing and engineering. And then you've got the environmental side of things. I was going to say the turnip then, but I'm not going to say that. The Swede, Greta Thunberg, she's drummed up an almighty following across the world, a lot of them youngsters. But the environmental thing, whether people are very, very passionate about it or not, I think that's an area where we can get a little bit more focus to the youngsters about manufacturing engineering, because pretty much anything that you're going to do that's involves the environment, there's manufacturing or engineering involved, whether it's recycling or whether it's innovating and producing more efficient products or lighter products, or you're cutting down waste in the manufacturing process. That's got to be a reason for the youngsters to get involved anyway. If they want to save the planet, and they're all on a mission to do that, they've got to open their ears to manufacturing and engineering. So I think there's a lot of hope, don't you?
Well, again, we've hit on the subject several times through this meeting. Where there's negatives, there's positives. The positives for the future of manufacturing. Now, with these people who go out demonstrating about how we're damaging our planet, and yes, it is a problem, but none of them seem to be bringing the solutions to the table in any case. I sit around the table with several people, such as the MMMA and what have you, and at my business at Bruderer. And, I'm the managing director, I'm the chairman, but I haven't got all the answers. No man is an island. You need people around you to come up with solutions. Problems, we've all got problems, and we can all moan. But if you don't make an active or a conscious focus to try and solve those problems, then you're part of the problem.
Yep.
And so therefore, you know, the youth of today, you need to keep these brains burning. You need them to start thinking. You need them to give them space to expand on what they're thinking and what they're doing in a controlled environment, such as the training schools that we are providing at the moment. This, I think, is fantastic, and it will help industry and manufacturing. And let's understand this, Jeff, as you've already said, none of these problems that we've got cannot be solved without engineering and manufacturing.
Yeah.
And the people within there. So to go back to one of the points that you actually made is what are one of the things that we need for our engineering manufacturing fraternity is people, skilled, focused people that all have the same ideas. And, you know, the likes of Make UK, Income, or whatever, we've all said the buzzwords of all these, but they all need to come together and speak as one word, not all individual places, because we're all saying the same thing. Every meeting that me and you have been to, such as now, we're all talking the same thing, but without one solid voice, which is what they're trying to do with a minister within the government. How do you get your point across? You know, you go to Germany and you go across the roads on Germany, and it's all about engineering and manufacturing. On every street corner, a Black Expo, for instance, it was all about engineering and manufacturing. In the hotel lobby, all about engineering and manufacturing.
Yeah.
Why aren't we doing that? You know, go back to my point earlier on about the police cars we're using. Why are we using BMWs and Volvos when we've got Jaguar Land Rover on our doorstep? You know, it should be feeding our own economy and building our own people.
Yeah.
Unless there's a good reason why we are using other people's stuff.
That's a great point about the cars. I mean, please don't get me started on all of that. I mean, that's another separate podcast about, you know, NHS, MOD, any sort of government or public money funded organisations. First port of call, surely has got to be British manufacturing. But anyway, we'll leave that for another time. Just quickly, Adrian, and it's been a really interesting discussion with you today. If you I just go back quickly to one of the words you used a minute or so ago, collaboration. I bang on about the C word all the time. Collaboration. We need it wherever we look. But if there was one piece of advice that you could offer to any youngsters, either coming out of school or coming out of college or even uni, young professionals looking or considering entering manufacturing or engineering, what would your sort of elevator pitch, or what would your, you know, one little snippet of advice be to them?
To them, I think it starts at the schools, to be honest with you, getting the schools engaged in where we want to focus these young people, taking them on tours of these excellent companies we've got around the areas, showing them how the Aston Martin is made, showing them how airplanes are built. That start there. And then with regard to the youth, you know, you have to explain to them that there's no shortcut route. In anything that we do in our lives, you have to learn. You need to study, get your head down. And then as you learn things, you become skilled at what you've done within your trade. And then you build from there. And from that, you'll build your own wealth. You get yourself a home, a family, a car, and then you go from there. If any of them are thinking that the world is a shortcut route, such as what they see on YouTube or whatever, it just doesn't work. So we need to educate them at a young age. We need to be taking them out of schools, taking them tours around these fantastic companies, and they are fantastic companies, and we should be really proud of them. That's what I'm going to do with the new Bruderer company. Is I'm going to have open days for schools, you know, and get them to come in, and I'll have demonstrations of cars, diggers, all things that kids love, and then apply them to the sciences of how they're manufactured. And maybe just one of them will think, well, I'd like to do that. And that is getting the interest, you know. What we're doing now, YouTube screening, Teams meetings, there's nothing better than a video that shows you how manufacturing is, such as, you know, how is an iPhone made? Every single kid's got an iPhone or an Android phone. How is it made? Well, it's made on these machines, you know. Every time you go and have an espresso coffee. How's these capsules made?
Yeah.
Even down to the points that I've mentioned to you before. Your ketchup or your brown sauce. Every time you take off one of them lids on the top that you can never get off. How is that made? And yes, we're trying to do this across TV, but it's the quickness, TikToks, the reels where it engages people straight away, because we all have boredom times. Well, what a better way of being bored than being educating yourself on how things are made.
Yeah.
And that's how you engage with the youth. So it's going to
Sparky.
start up from midway through school, right the way through to social media, getting them engaged, and then they say, that's what I want to do. Because you get these young people's brains working, you don't know what they're going to develop. Einsteins of the world, anyone. And you need to get that working, because these youth are brilliant. It's our future.
Getting them to spark that curiosity in the first place. And that's up to everybody in industry, really, isn't it? We've got to sow that seed.
Absolutely.
Brilliant. Just one more quick point, Adrian. And again, you're here today representing Bruderer UK, but also the Metalworking Machinery Manufacturers Association. How can industry professionals get involved with the MMMA and maybe contribute to its objectives?
So we're all on social media things again. So LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube. So you can contact us through that. We have our own web page as well, which is funny enough, the MMMA. Metalforming Machinery Makers, as you get it through there. We are always active, and so you can engage with us on any of those platforms.
Yeah.
With regards to Bruderer, exactly the same. We're on all those social media platforms, so therefore you'll see what we're capable of, what we're doing. And we welcome anybody to talk about anything to do with manufacturing. It may have nothing to do with metalworking or what have you, but there's a wealth of people with our 60 strong memberships that will know something about something.
Yeah.
And that's the key point, getting that message across that we want to talk, maybe nothing to do with it, and there may be no business involved, but information and knowledge builds growth.
Absolutely. Goes back to collaboration again, doesn't it? We've ended on a real positive.
Yeah.
Super. Well, thank you very much for being my guest today, Adrian. It's always great to meet you in person. I know we've had some of these meetings online in the past and phone calls, but you're one of the charismatic characters of the UK manufacturing scene. I will be bumping into you at MAC, I'm sure. May even see you before then. Good luck with the Telford new plant project. So that's it. That wraps up this episode. I hope the listeners and viewers have enjoyed it as much as I have. Thanks again to Adrian Haller, and look out for the next episode of Insights for Manufacturing. See you next time, and bye-bye.